Hello, welcome to my forward look video, and a little bit later this week because I've been hoping to get some news on what on earth is going on the Brexit trade talks and also about whether we're going to be changing tiers for COVID. Now, nothing's happened yet on the Brexit trade talks, keeps getting extended, so I can't update you on that, but there's a lot of legislation in Parliament at the moment that depends on what is going to happen with those trade talks. So we've got the UK Internal Markets Bill, the taxation post-transition bill, and the trade disclosure of information bill, which we're all looking at the moment, but it does depend on what happens with those trade talks and whether we do get a deal with the EU, as I hope we will. On the tiers issue, the announcement isn't actually going to come until Thursday, when there'll be further shifts perhaps on the tiers around the UK. Now, we heard on Monday that London is to go immediately, along with parts of Essex, into tier 3. I think it's now making it highly unlikely that Ada and Worthing is going to move down a tier, because rates have been going up, although they remain relatively low to the rest of the country in Worthing and Ada. They've been going up quite a lot in East Sussex and in Brighton now. So I think probably we're going to stay where we are. I've been arguing that we shouldn't be in tier 2 in the first place, but the way things are looking, and particularly given that 5-day bubble that we're going to have over Christmas, where it's really important that people do abide by the rules, because otherwise we'll just be back into a national lockdown in the new year, which we all want to avoid. I had a briefing from the head of Worthing Hospital this morning. There's only 3 COVID patients again in Worthing Hospital, so they are keeping absolutely on top of the situation, which is really good news. But none of us can be complacent about this. So also going on in Parliament, we've just had an announcement from the government about the online harms consultation, which is all about how we're going to regulate in future those social media companies who don't do enough to take down hate speech, anti-Semitic comment, the grooming, sexual exploitation stuff that we see too much of on the internet. There's going to be a regulator and a duty of care on those internet companies. And I raised the question as well as to whether people should be able to have anonymity on social media when they just post some pretty extremist content and hate content in many cases. They eventually get taken down only to pop up with a completely different name somewhere else. Just as when you want to set up a bank account or something like that, you have to prove your identity and who you are. Shouldn't you have to do that for a social media company, not for public content, but so that if you don't abide by the rules, then they can make sure that you don't post elsewhere, and if necessary, it can be referred to the police. I've done a little bit on this, and there's the link to the consultation that you can see. We've had a number of interesting debates, or we are having, in Westminster Hall in the Commons this week. I took part in a debate on the first 1,001 days, the early years, and the role of healthcare professionals. This is something I'm very close to, as you know. Again, I posted this on my website. There's a debate on the planning white paper, where we're hearing that actually the government has heard a lot of objections from me and many other MPs about the implications for local control of planning. So I think we're going to see a bit of a rewrite on that one. There's a debate on the national tree planting strategy, on breast cancer screening, an interesting debate coming up on the UK hydrogen economy, where I think hydrogen could well turn out to be the fuel of the future, although all the focus has been on electric cars, electric charging points. But hydrogen is, I think, really interesting. I held a meeting of about 100 children, young people and people from the children's sector yesterday about what young people would like to see from the spending review and from the Treasury next year on how we should spend money on children and youth services. And I had a briefing this morning from our ambassador in Yemen about the continuing horrendous humanitarian crisis going on in that country. And then last week on Friday, a really interesting trip to New Salt's farm, which is the 73-acre site the council are in the process of buying, to see the opportunities of how it can be a really green resource for the local community as part of the rewilding project. It's a large slug of land behind the old Hasler estate and the airport. And I think it's a really good move by Ada Council, and some really exciting things can happen there. Finally, bike survey. Thank you very much to everybody who's responded. Over 1,500 responses so far. I'm going to be collating the replies, and we'll publish the results at the beginning of next week. I'll do a special video on that, and I'll publish the results in full in my newsletter, which will be the last one of the year next week, and it'll be my last video then before the new year. And goodness knows what the new year is going to bring, but goodness knows it's got to be better than 2020.